I found out my wife of 17 years cheated on me. We were married for 17 years with no children of our own. She had been divorced once before and had 2 daughters, now 28 and 23, whom I helped raise. Before our marriage, we only had minor bumps and issues, at least in my opinion. We maintained an open-door style of communication, whether it was about work problems, venting, sexual matters, or just how we were feeling. Often, we would just sit on the couch and talk about life and philosophy in general. I felt we had a strong connection and a fulfilling sex life. We both stay in good shape and live healthy lifestyles. I work in the medical field and, due to circumstances, have been putting in a fair amount of overtime over the past 5 months. She works in legal consultancy and has been working from home during the same period, which made things a bit distant. But on our days off, we are close. Last night, I changed the filter on the Dyson fan in our bedroom. I asked my wife if I could use her phone to update the app to reset the change filter alert. My phone was on the charger by the front door. While using her phone, I noticed she had set a pattern unlock, and I kind of wanted to ask her what that was about as I searched for the app. Suddenly, a Snapchat notification popped up. My stomach dropped immediately when I read the small tag. "I'll bring this special toy." My brain understood the words, but my mind just froze. She asked me what was wrong after, I guess, several minutes of me just sitting there staring at the bedroom fan. My wife has a quarterly out-of-town meeting that takes her 2 states away for 5 days every business quarter. I knew it was about her upcoming trip Monday. I've been browsing Reddit anonymously for years, reading hundreds of stories that started like this, but I never imagined it would happen to me sitting on my bedroom floor in a numb, stunned state. I recovered and told her I was just getting info about the IP and router, explaining how the fan communicates through the app. She has a Chromebook that she logged into Facebook on yesterday. I took a week off on short notice, and my supervisor is understanding. When I explained what I might have discovered and that I needed time off, she agreed. I've been up all night reading through my wife's chats. She just left for the office, and I made sure Google location history and Find My Phone were active. Now, I'm suspicious of everything she does. I can't even look at myself in the mirror. She doesn't know I saw the message notification. I logged into the Verizon messaging system using her number and name. There are at least 15,000 messages dating back to February last year, message, memes, flirty pics, and some X-rated ones too. About 3 months ago, she stopped texting him through Verizon's message app, but didn't stop texting altogether. I guess they switched to Snapchat because it's more discreet. I'm not on any social media, so I had no clue. I just found out you can't log into Snapchat through Facebook, but it only requires an email and password. She has used this Chromebook to do that just 3 nights ago, lying in bed next to me, rubbing my back while I fell asleep. She messaged and sexted him. He's a younger man from work, married with 3 young children. I've met him twice, and even shook his hand. I'm completely lost. I've wandered my house, which I custom built for her, for hours. I almost can't feel anything. The little I am processing is pure white-hot rage. I logged onto Snapchat, and there it was, all of it. I called my best friend, who's been divorced 3 times. Don't get me started on his dating advice. He recommended a ruthless lawyer. I plan on recording and saving everything. There are pictures, and, I'm sure, videos on her phone or his. I desperately want this to be a nightmare. She's said terrible things about me to him, shared my insecurities, and told him she loves pen. They haven't made any long-term plans, so it feels like a purely sexual relationship. That almost makes it better, but also so much worse. Like she's literally throwing away our life for this. She knows cheating is an absolute deal-breaker. For me, our usual routine on the day she leaves for her meetings is for me to take her to the airport and say a long goodbye. I can't even think about what I have to do now. My friend says to print out the entire print everything and be ready. I want to recover anything I can from Snapchat, but from what I understand, I can't without having her phone. My plan is to see the lawyer today. I'm paying a ridiculous amount to jump ahead in her appointment schedule to get the process started. And hopefully have a plan of action. I really want to book a flight and follow my wife to the hotel she's staying at to catch her in the act. I have access to her hotel booking options and even put myself as a contact person so I can get a room key without her knowing. I think I'm just going to log into the messaging apps when I get there and watch it all happen in real time. I can get the papers ready in time. I'd hand them to her directly. Otherwise, I'll just leave the printouts a 600-page PDF. His wife accepted my friend request, and I'm debating whether to send everything to her now. Right now, I'm boiling with rage, but I don't want to lose any advantage. I'm flying there Monday afternoon, logging in to see their conversations, getting a room key to my wife's room, and dropping off the package with my wedding ring inside. I plan to sit in the bar and watch my phone blow up. I want to call the affair partner, tell him to meet me in the lobby or bar with my wife. Then tell him that a similar package has been sent by certified mail to his home address, as well as a Facebook message I plan to send. It feels petty and weak, but I want him to know. I want to rage and scream, but I feel powerless. This morning, all I could do was give her a peck on the cheek goodbye. I can't even stand to look her in the eye. Somehow, I have to make it through the weekend. I guess I'm asking, is this spiteful, hate-fueled plan worth it? I just want to hurt her emotionally. I feel shredded, emasculated. I won't entertain any apology. This is the one thing I cannot forgive. Cheating takes so many steps, and they can all be stopped until the final act, then it's done. Should I confront her tonight, or catch her in the act? I'm not sure. I don't think I'll update again. I'm seriously thinking about quitting social media forever and only being with a partner who shares that outlook from now on. ETA. I found the special toy. Keep in mind, we have a whole chest full of adult toys. It was already in her carry-on. Remote control vibrator, one controlled by an app. It looks expensive. I meet with the lawyer in 90 minutes. Update 1. I have no clue how to post an update, so I'm just editing my post. I met with a lawyer who was actually kind, maybe even compassionate. She told me, bluntly, that her job is to represent me in this fight for my future, and my job is to be completely honest and not make her job harder. I went to Kinko's and printed the file. Cost me $534 in color because I wanted the pictures to really stand out. Shout out to Chris at Kinko's for not making a scene when the nudes started coming out. He asked what it was about, and I told him. He was shocked but shook my hand and said he was sorry. I went home and crashed for about 3 hours. My soon-to-be ex-wife came home around 7:30, her usual time. The lawyer told me to forget any Hollywood-style confrontation in a hotel bar. It would look crazy and wouldn't help at all. So, sorry to those who wanted high drama-she's, right? There are 2 ways to handle divorce: contested or uncontested. She said I'd have to notify my wife that I've retained counsel, and then she'd have to either contest the divorce or we'd go through mediation and file from there. She got home about 2 hours ago. I asked if there was anything she wanted to talk about. She said no, other than the election. Then she asked what was bothering me. I wanted to cry, but I was already cried out. I asked why she had a remote control vibrator in her luggage. The look on her face was more telling than any words I've ever seen. Panicked, pale, breathing fast, sweating. I asked who had the app code to control it. She stayed silent, tears streaming as I pulled out my 3 folders full of text exchanges. I asked if the affair partner's wife might have the code. She cried and begged that she could explain. I told her she had 5 minutes to do so. Of course, she couldn't. I told her what my attorney advised: keep everything printed and be prepared. Tell her. I also told her to leave. She screamed that it was her house too. I calmly told her that might be true, but I would be notifying everyone about her affair and betrayal, including the girls. She could either leave now and find somewhere else to live for the time being, or deal with the consequences. Hell, she'd be away at her work conference for a week anyway. She was speechless. I calmly pulled up Facebook and showed her the affair partner's wife. I asked if she wanted me to tell her, or if she was going to do it herself right now. Tears, moaning, and pleading followed with, "I love you, and it wasn't supposed to go this far." Then my favorite, "You can't do this," I said. "Well, it looks like I'm doing it." As I sent the affair partner's wife a message with a file of their escapades attached. I prefaced it with apologies and a brief explanation. I haven't heard back from her. I leafed through the stacks of paper and started reading random excerpts out loud to my soon-to-be ex-wife. "I just wish we could spend the day attached to each other, just you, inside of me. You feel so much more intense than any other woman I've ever been with." She was still sobbing and asking to talk about us. She said our marriage could withstand her mistake. I told her I would never forgive her. Her words meant nothing. She threw away the last 17 years. I'm still planning the whole thing, and I'm going to tell everyone about her decision to end our marriage by cheating. Thank you to everyone who responded. I feel bad I couldn't reply to all the PMS and comments. I have a therapy appointment scheduled for Tuesday. Right now, I feel extremely elated and yet incredibly low. I'm shaking. I kind of want to die. The house is pretty quiet except for her crying and moaning. I told her not to come back after her trip. I'm currently sending friend requests and trying to get everyone on my side. I'm just going to send the evidence to everyone. I'm going to wait until morning to call the girls. I raised them from when they were 11 and 6, they're women now, 28 and 23. I don't know what to tell them or how to handle it. Update 2. I've received nearly 1,000 requests for some kind of update or info on what's going on in my pain and hate-filled life. My new therapist said to go ahead and do it. It will help me refocus. To those saying, "That's not how Snapchat works," you're right. She had WhatsApp running in the background too. I don't really care, I saw it. Again, I need to thank Dyson for their app and the kick-ass fan I got from my brother-in-law for Christmas. Here goes. I'm going to give more background to help with perspective on why I feel this way. My original post was a stream of consciousness. And as disjointed as I was then, I went to college in Las Vegas in the mid-90s and graduated in 1999. I had a blast and got around. During that formative time, I decided never to marry. It seemed like an outdated concept that takes away your freedom. I definitely didn't want children. After graduation, I earned my degree in nursing and quickly excelled in cardiovascular intensive care. I moved back to Texas in 2001 and pursued my master's degree to become an advanced practice (RN) nurse practitioner specializing in CV surgery. While doing this, I decided to pursue medical school and shifted my coursework to prepare for applications. That's when I met my soon-to-be ex-wife. She was a short, chubby, red-headed firecracker. I think kids today would say she was thick. We met in a coding class. The attraction and dating were intense. We were saying "I love you" within 3 months. She was a mother of 2. I wanted to be child-free. She had been divorced for about 2 years and was just coming out of an on-again, off-again relationship when we met. We dated for about 2 years, and she slowly introduced her daughters to me, then 11 and 6 years old. One night, she sat me down for a hard but pragmatic talk about us, and what she expected from me, or any partner. Essentially, she said it was time to either get married, or move on. I was still pretty anti-marriage, and she respected that. She was giving me a chance to think about us, and what the future looked like. She made a good point. We'd been living together for 8 months, and even had each other listed as emergency contacts. She joked that all that was missing was having each other on our insurance. It was a good, honest talk, and we agreed to continue for a bit longer, but ultimately, I would have to make a decision. 2 weeks later, I received an acceptance letter to a medical school about 2 hours away. I was ecstatic and crushed at the same time. I had just turned 26 and was about to reach a major life goal, but then I realized I'd rarely see her or the girls. My self-doubt got the better of me. Becoming a medical student, then resident, followed by a fellowship, would be about a 7-year journey. During that time, I wouldn't be able to earn the money or maintain the lifestyle we were used to. I worried about the years of debt, hard work, and the possibility of losing her, so I declined and switched back to a master's in nursing administration. We got married in July 2003. It was an intimate, personal ceremony with just close family and friends. While my parents adored the girls, and rightly so, they were always a bit distant toward my son. On Monday, when I told my parents what was happening and that the girls might become less involved in their lives, they said they felt she was damaged goods, having been married before and forcing me to compromise. That really hit home. To some extent, they were right. After graduating, I didn't want to be a manager or director. I'm a hands-on person who likes caring for patients. The hospital I worked at offered certification in ECMO and a perfusionist credential. It was highly competitive, but I got accepted. For the past 11 years, I've been working with ECMO and related areas. It's been both challenging and rewarding, with heartbreaking moments to dot. About 5 years ago, my soon-to-be ex-wife decided that working as an RN on the floor had run its course. She wanted a more typical 9-to-5 job without patience or drama. Through a friend, she got a position at a multi-state legal consultancy specializing in medical legal suits. She abstracts data from patient charts and presents it as requested. That's our setup. On Saturday morning, D-Day +2, I only slept a few hours. Dark, disturbing thoughts about my future crept in. I still have them, thoughts of death and violence toward her, him, and myself. I was in the kitchen making breakfast eggs and toast when she walked in, still blurry-eyed. She asked if I would make some for her. I threw the eggs in the trash in front of her. Then I loaded my record player and played music from my youth, at an uncomfortably loud volume to keep her from trying to talk to me. Real mature, I know. I began deep in pain, reading the printouts in chronological order. I do not recommend it. By the afternoon, I was done with the anger and fury, and was listening to torch breakup songs by Chris Izok and Ray LaMontagne. She approached me again, this time with indignation, asking what purpose notifying the affair partner's wife served. I stared at her for what felt like an inappropriate amount of time, a bit dumbfounded. I told her point blank that at least the affair partner's wife would have the chance to make an informed decision about her future instead of sacrificing herself for someone who would betray her so selfishly. I guess my message to the affair partner's wife was received, because things were not good for him. My wife sat down on the couch, began to tear up, and sobbed. I told her I was cried out, or more accurately, so numb I would cry later after I finished what needed to be done. She timidly asked, her indignation and bravado gone, what else I had to do. I told her to ruin her life and give her the pain I was feeling now. I told her that if she had any respect or love for me, she would open her phone and show me everything. She refused, saying it didn't matter and I'd only hold it against her. There's a part of me, the completionist, that wanted to know. She refused and went to the guest bedroom. I found her HR new hire paperwork from her company. They have a corporate compliance line, so I called and left a detailed message. I reported that my wife and the affair partner had discussed client information, including protected health information, using an unsecured, non-approved messaging system. I also informed them she was his acting supervisor on 2 projects during the time that matched the sexually inappropriate messages. Lastly, I told them they both used their company phones to send pornographic pictures, sexts, and video. Absolute violation. My whole life, I have seen myself as a peaceful, rational man. This has broken that part of me. I don't know where all this anger is coming from. I'm somewhat worried about whether it will ever stop. I know that in the long run, to get over this, I'll have to accept her apology and forgive her mistakes. I just don't know if I'm capable of that right now, and it worries me. That evening, I kept notifying family and friends about the situation and her actions. I called a physician friend and asked for a favor checkup and an STD test. He had questions, I answered them. My eyes grew heavy around 8 p.m. Sunday, D-Day +3. I decided to drive 3 hours to see the girls. The youngest is still in college for at least another semester, maybe longer. Thanks to 2020, since all this started, I've had pretty intense feelings about them. I've built a respectful, friendly relationship with both, but not much of a fatherly one. The oldest, especially our interactions are cordial, but there's always that unspoken "you're not my dad" vibe between us. The youngest is less like that, but when they're together, the feeling gets stronger. I left early, Sunday around 5 a.m., and arrived at their condo, something their father pays for, just after 8:45. I had prepared breakfast, catches, and good coffee. They were immediately worried about their mother before I said anything. I told them point blank about the situation, and that their mother would probably be moving out within 3 to 6 months. I can honestly say it was best to say this in person. I told them everything. They were disappointed in her. Then I made it clear I wasn't there to force them to take sides. They are adults in a complicated situation with our relationship. If they decided not to interact or have a relationship with me, that was okay. I would be somewhat let down, but also relieved. However, I told them that our relationship or lack of one should not affect their relationship with their grandparents, my parents. They both agreed they wanted to keep in touch with them. I left around 11 a.m. and headed home. I stopped at my best friend's house and cried a little. I had essentially helped raise the girls as best I could. Their father was absent most of their childhood and started another family 6 hours away. My best friend decided I'd had enough to drink over the past 72 hours and needed rest. I crashed at his place that night. I noticed my soon-to-be ex-wife had been blowing up my phone after I left the girls' place. Oh well, I was too tired and in too dark a place to care. Monday, D-Day +4, I arrived home around 8 a.m. and noticed her Porsche was still there. I thought for a moment she might have Ubered or walked to the airport, but no, she was up and had breakfast ready. She asked me to sit and eat with her. I did. She asked how the food tasted. I told her it was like static. I told her I'd had a hard time tasting or feeling anything other than bitterness and anger for the past 5 days. She called in sick at work and didn't leave for her quarterly meeting. She tried to start a conversation about how worried she was for me and how much she loved me. She said she'd gotten a call from her oldest daughter around noon, who was deeply disturbed by her behavior. I laughed a manic, unsettling laugh that surprised even me. I said, "Oh, you love me so much. You had a 1.5-year affair behind my back. You love me so much, you chose some other married man. You love me so much, you wasted nearly half my life." She never gave me a reason for why she did it. Told her that it made it so much worse. I went to the liquor cabinet and pulled out a bottle. An 18-year Glenfiddich my grandfather bought us when we got married. It was our tradition to take a small sip on our anniversary night and remember that things get better with time and patience. I chugged the remaining third of the bottle. I said sorry but didn't offer her any because she didn't deserve it. Went to the bedroom and started pulling down all the pictures of us or her from the walls. I placed them on the kitchen table. She had left. My attorney, or rather, her paralegal, called to notify me the divorce petition was ready, and I needed to sign off before it could be filed. My soon-to-be ex-wife would be served within 10 business days. I read the petition quickly while buzzed on premium scotch, signed it, and pressed send. Then, I got a message from the affair partner's wife. She reluctantly thanked me for this horrible but good revelation. She declined to speak with me, but messaged to say she found texts and videos with other women besides my soon-to-be-ex-wife. She kicked him out and was planning to see an attorney soon. They live in California. I proceeded to listen to music and have a few more drinks, falling asleep around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I heard her come home around 10 o'clock. She saw the pile of pictures and things that once meant something to us. She began sobbing and begged me to talk to her. I only asked one question: why? She kept saying she didn't know. I called her vile names and said she made so many choices to get to that first text. It was her who started it. I was pretty loose. With my tongue from being drunk, I laughed at her, started taking off my clothes, and said, "You threw away this," pointing to my body. I'm 6 feet 4 inches and weigh 200 pounds. Until last week, I still jogged and lifted weights 4 times a week. For some pot-bellied, needle-dick guy, that wasn't going to do anything for her. I went to my room and took a shower. When I got out, she was in bed, naked. She had lit some candles and begged me to be with her. I turned on my camera and told her to repeat what she said. Thanks to everyone who mentioned doing this, just in case. For whatever reason, my erection didn't do a good job convincing her I didn't want to, so I went through with it. I was not kind. I put her in uncomfortable positions and pounded her. I told her I wanted anal and wanted to hear her beg for it. I recorded it all. I felt so many mixed emotions afterward. I love her, and I'm indifferent to her. I hate her, and I think nothing of her. I want her, and feel like I need her, but it hurts me to think of us anymore. We fell asleep together. I woke up kind of hungover and had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror. Tuesday D-Day, +5, was a 2.5-hour session. Unbeknownst to me, she followed me there and wanted to know what I was doing. I told her I was getting therapy for the emotional trauma I had after realizing I'd thrown away most of my life on someone who couldn't even give me a reason for cheating. I was a little loud and teary. My soon-to-be new therapist saw most of the exchange. I called her horrible names and told her I wished she was dead. Needless to say, my session was intense. He prescribed some sedatives and scheduled a shorter appointment for Thursday. We discussed my anger, betrayal, emasculation, and fear of the future. I explained I'm terrified of the unknown. Last week, I felt like a complete Manai had vision and goals, and a partner to face obstacles with. Now, I'm a ship without a rudder or mast. I feel no direction, power, or means to escape this. He began explaining the why I wanted to understand. It's not a single question, but a series of questions, pretty interesting. You can apply it to any behavior to explain motivation. He said I should calmly ask my soon-to-be ex-wife what inside herself gave her permission to do this to me. There were more questions to follow, but that stuck out most. I told him about the sex. He recommended laying out explicit ground rules about our physical relationship. Ultimately, he advised that I stop having sex with her altogether, as it would only confuse and worsen things. Less reconciliation was my goal. I cried, I raged, I left exhausted. My soon-to-be ex-wife was still outside waiting for me. I walked past her without responding to her questions or pleas. I got a call from the physician's office to get tested, and went to that appointment. I gave him the short version. He recommended I stop drinking and take sedatives cautiously. I went home and continued removing my things from the house, boxing them up. I've decided to move out. I called work and requested a face-to-face meeting. The thought of working or concentrating on real life and death issues is impossible in my current state. I drove to the hospital's administrative building, met with the team, and formally gave my 6 weeks resignation. My job is highly specialized, so 6 weeks is the minimum courtesy. I told them succinctly that my soon-to-be ex-wife's actions had caused a stressful home life, and that continuing in this state would be a detriment to patients, the team, and myself. I have decided to move. Away, far away. I got home after picking up some groceries. I hadn't eaten more than a mouthful in about a week, living mostly on liquor and little else. I took the advice of both my therapists and physician friend and decided to make some food and stop drinking. She was home, sitting in the dark living room, drinking wine. She had organized the pictures and was looking through them. She'd put on makeup and was wearing a date-night dress, but her makeup was smeared from crying a lot. She got up and tried to embrace me. I gently pushed her away and made a show of pulling out my phone and hitting record. She started crying. Again, she told me the affair partner's wife had called her, saying he had other women besides her. She said she felt like such a fool and that every derogatory name I'd called her was true. She begged me to reconsider us. I asked, why bother? She didn't reconsider when she betrayed me. I told her I was sorry her lies caught her out, but I felt she was sorry only for getting caught, not remorseful for what she did to me. I said she was more upset about having to start over than losing any love she had for me. I told her she abandoned our love 2 years ago when she made this choice. I kept piling it on. I informed her of my call to the corporate compliance line, and the specific rules she had broken. I didn't raise my voice or act angry. I was shaking a bit, but it felt like everything was rushing out of me. I felt both elated and empty at the same time. When I was done, I put away the few groceries I'd bought and made a small sandwich, then went to bed. She was there again. I pulled out my phone and, with the recorder running, told her what my therapist had talked about regarding sex. Keep in mind, in 17 years, I can't recall a time when I refused or declined sex from her. I asked her to leave and sleep in the guest bedroom. She refused. I said fine. I would then. Wednesday, D-Day plus 6 I woke up and she was curled up next to me. I removed myself and did some light exercises. I've been working on my resume and sending out applications. I might be working in Seattle by the end of the year. I love my parents and will miss being only 20 minutes from them, especially as they grow elderly. I can't stay in this city. The thought of running into her after this is over is something I don't want to face. I want to be free and have no reminders of this loss and lifetime of compromise. It was a pretty bleak day, with rain off and on most of the time. I met up with my best friend for an early dinner. We decided not to drink. My attorney said that moving away won't affect the financial outcome. I plan to live off my PTO until the end of October and use my half of our liquid savings to relocate and settle in. I feel empty and try to laugh at his jokes, but it's an effort. I keep falling into a deep emptiness, a powerful pull. I've never thought about ending my life, but in the past few days and nights, I've had daydreams about what it would be like if I weren't here. I plan to tell my therapist tomorrow. My soon-to-be-x-wife has been going to the library. I've been watching through Google and reading relationship books. I've been reading Chump Lady, which is great stuff. She got a call from work. I eavesdropped on a small part of it. And I know she has a meeting tomorrow, despite claiming to be sick. She's been in bed the past few nights. I'm so conflicted. I just want to feel something, but all I feel is hate and resentment toward her. The only sex I want is sadistic. I'll admit that during the abusive sex we had Monday, I felt almost like a runner's high. But then there was a crash, and the next day I was angry at myself. I'm doubting myself a little about not wanting her back. I know she messed up huge, but I don't know if I can forget or forgive it. I'm a tangled mess. I told her the ground rules regarding sex, recording it on my phone. I told her it doesn't mean reconciliation or a secret signal that I want to get back together. I said this is probably hysterical bonding and not healthy. I told her I wouldn't be gentle or care about her feelings or needs during it. She was teary-eyed and quietly understanding. She said she deserved it. Then she rolled over and got on all fours. Thursday, D-Day plus 7 I woke up with her spooning me. I lay there for a while and noticed her breathing change pattern. Could feel her looking at me. I asked, with my back turned, what her meeting was going to be about. She said it was with an HR representative and it was probably going to be bad. I said, yep. She asked what she could do to make things right or equal again. I said nothing. She offered an open marriage on my end. She wouldn't pursue anyone, but I could. I chuckled and said no, I don't trust her. She said that was fair. We had this conversation with my back to hurt was easier than looking at her. I get mad when I see her face. I asked what I did in the marriage that made her so unhappy that she did this. She said I was beyond great. I chuckled again and said, well, obviously, that doesn't matter. She said it was an adventure, like she lived off the rush. She didn't realize until it was way too late that if she got caught or something went wrong, everyone would be hurt. She said it was a huge relief and an unforgettable pain when I confronted her. I got up and made us breakfast. I went to my therapist and told him about my plans with work and that I'd already received responses to my applications. I told him everything about my soon-to-be ex-wife and the sex. We discussed my usual thoughts and the process involved with them again. He wasn't judging. He just wanted me to avoid confusion or to stop and process if I didn't understand. It was only a 1 hour 55-minute session, and I felt that weird calm, again, like nothing matters for now. Everything just is. When I got home, she was sitting in the living room. She told me she'd been fired for breach of protocol with client information and violation of data security policies. I said, well, That's too bad. I exercised and made a nice dinner. She joined me. We didn't say much while sitting in the living room. She told me the affair partner had been fired as well. I said, good. She said she hadn't had contact with him in 5 days. I asked why not. They were both free now. She could fly out to her soulmate and have all the fun they wanted. Now she said I was the only one she wanted. I said, no, you had meal of me and it still wasn't enough. I told her that in nearly 20 years of work and our relationship, I had been approached and hit on too many times to count. I managed not to fall in love with anyone else. Now I'm so bitter and angry because of the compromises I made. She asked, what compromises? I told her I wanted to go to medical school but chose to get married and be stable. By not wanting children, but because they were part of her, I accepted them and compromised. I said I made those compromises for our love, but obviously, I misplaced my trust and love in her. I told her that if I could go back in time, I would tell 26-year-old me to pass her up. She asked again what she could do to bring us back together. I told her I will never compromise for her again, and that means we can't have a healthy relationship. I told her I would never love her again and, at best, would treat her like a sex toy. Otherwise, she wouldn't factor into my plans or thoughts. I told her that just a week ago, she was the first person I thought of when I woke up, and the last person I thought of before I went to sleep. Now it hurts too much to think about her. I'm going to walk away from this. I feel like it's starting to constantly remind me of things. I cannot thank the kind people I've chatted with enough, who shared their pain and stories that have helped me. Overall, this has been a good thing for me to do. But I keep replaying feelings and memories I'd rather just leave behind. I remain confused about what I want. I don't know if I'll ever be 100% certain about anything with her again. I have bi-weekly appointments for the next 4 weeks with my therapist. Up to date. 3 good people. My inner Hemingway is not back. I'm afraid this won't be nearly as tidy or visceral as my beginning of this beautiful disaster. Well, it's been an interesting 5 weeks. I've discovered more. I moved out about 3 days after my last update. My soon-to-be ex constantly texts me and leaves notes on my apartment door and car. I told my lawyer, who offered to write her a stern cease and desist letter. I'm contemplating it. My therapist complimented me on my progress and is confident I can manage the anger, despair, and depression I initially felt. I agree. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I had sex one last time the night before I moved out. I told her, again, in no uncertain terms, that it meant nothing and would not change my mind about reconciliation. She said she understood, but with her constant attempts to communicate, I'm not convinced she truly understands. She was served notice of the divorce filing the first week of October. Since then, the love bombing and attempts at hoovering have been borderline psychotic. The earliest hearing is possibly in January. If she stays true to her word, it will be quick. If she wants to fight, fine. She got another job about a week after being fired, which goes to show it's all about who you know. Anyway, I'm good. I've acknowledged her shortcomings as a person and spouse. I told her I'd never forgive her. Merely accept that it happened and am moving on with my life. I had 2 unexpected surprises in the last 3 weeks. My stepdaughters came to visit me. I told them point blank that if their mother put them up, they didn't have to do it, but my oldest insisted. It turns out they'd had a long conversation with their mother about this sordid affair, and our relationship came up to . My oldest stepdaughter had always carried a huge chip on her shoulder toward me. Well, she apologized for that. It turns out her assumptions about me were wrong. When I was introduced to them, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I had been dating about 4 months. There was definitely overlap with the on-off guy. Before we dated, she had been in an on-off relationship with a man my stepdaughters hadn't met. My soon-to-be ex-wife's first husband cheated on her, and she tried to reconcile. They were together for about a year. Then she decided to have a revenge affair with the on-off guy. My stepdaughters thought I was that guy. Their father spent most of their lives blaming their mother for cheating but never told them he had cheated too. Long story short, My oldest stepdaughter apologized and asked for forgiveness for all the issues she caused. That was a tough weekend, showing the effects of infidelity and dishonesty. I want to address the accusations about the sex my soon-to-be ex-wife requested while I was preparing to leave. She's always been into BDSM. I was never really into it. The whole point was that I didn't provide aftercare for her. I even took classes and attended workshops on being a dom, all to make her happy. I'm done making her happy. She lost that privilege and my respect, which is basically the death of a marriage. Another surprise was a longtime co-worker from another department. I've decided to stay as a PRN, as needed speech-language pathologist, part-time. Needless to say, it's been interesting. She found out about my pending divorce and all the gossip at the hospital. I've started wearing my wedding ring on a chain, after she insisted on taking me out for a drink. I told her I wouldn't be around much longer, and had zero interest in a relationship. She just smiled, squeezed my hand, and said she didn't intend to be with me forever. She just wanted to rock my world and have fun. She's been spending the night a couple of times a week, and I've enjoyed it. She even helped me pack my carry-on, and dropped me off, and picked me up at the airport for my Seattle interview. I crushed that interview, and got a call from a travel agent with more opportunities. I like the idea of the travel gig, and crashing at my parents' place, between contracts. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. It's oddly terrifying to be free of responsibility for another person, and suddenly so liberated. My lawyer said there will be no alimony or spousal support. It's a no-fault state, so infidelity doesn't affect the divorce itself. However, infidelity with proof can affect the division of assets, possibly swinging as much as 70/30ths in my favor. The sale of the house is inevitable. I asked a realtor to run comps. The amount will be substantial, not enough to justify 17 years down the drain, but I'm contemplating a 3-month European tour. I'm feeling again, and it's been fairly positive. I'm not in the best place, but definitely not as bad as I could be. Thanks to the Reddit communities, some of your chats were amazing. Coupled with therapy, this has been good for me. This is my last update. I'm going back to lurking anonymously. I hope I never have to post again.